because they said these were home invasion suspects, but now they are back on, and so you can actually see some different units there. Well, they're actually going the opposite direction right now. Also, it seems that the flight officer with the spotlight is having some difficulty with the spotlight. You might see it kind of on and off. That's kind of another factor in this one. It looks like they're getting back onto the southbound 405, which even at this hour, yep, it's the 405. You've got some traffic here. So the suspect, we've seen a little bit of wrong way driving. Look at this, zigging and zagging into traffic. Not nearly as dangerous as what we saw earlier today, but this is still a decently dangerous pursuit. Unclear how many people are in the car. They may have said that they have reason to believe that the suspect is armed as well. There's that spotlight now, straddling the carpool lane, southbound 405, now headed towards LAX.
Whenever we hear about suspect being armed, I mean, this is a whole different level of security, obviously, for not only the public, but for law enforcement officials as well. I want to bring it over to Mike Rogers at the desk. Mike, you have some new information for us.
Yeah, so I'm listening to the radio right now. You can tell the differences between we get divisions. West LA was where this originally started. That watch commander was like, we're done, don't want to do this. Pacific Division has just told their officers to not go into tracking mode because of the nature of this crime, because they believe that this person is armed, and I just heard on the radio, with a handgun. They are not, sorry, just listening to the gang sergeant is the one that's calling the shots on this. So who knows what involvement that has, but George 20 is the one that is calling this. And they just requested additional units to get involved in this. So really weird. We went from West LA Division, who wanted to be done with it altogether, to Pacific Division, who does not want to go into tracking and wants to get more units involved in this.
Now, any idea why the initial division, they wanted off the pursuit and why they called it off? Was it because they were driving erratically? Was there some reason? Do you know?
No, we didn't really catch that. They talked about wanting spike strips. They talked about, doing some other stuff, but then they decided to terminate. And then I don't know if potentially somebody else that knew a little bit more about this situation was like, no, we're going to stay with this.
And
because
they're actually armed. Maybe they learned that they're armed.
Right, and that information is what's starting to be new to us. Originally, this was burglary, right? And then now it's, okay, now we're their home invasion, and now they're armed. And, Desmond mentioned that Burbank-Glendale helicopter that was overhead. I called both Burbank and Glendale, and neither of them had any idea what I was talking about why their helicopter was in Pacific Palisades, which leads me to believe that they may have been on a surveillance mission with detectives or something of that nature.
Mike, do you have any more information on where this home invasion took place and where this all started as far as the chase?
So the chase itself started in the Pacific Palisades, and it actually came down onto PCH and then came over, and then they went all the way down PCH, eastbound on the 10, southbound on the 405, looking at some kind of wild driving here, southbound on the 405, and then off into the kind of the Palms area, and that's where the West LA Watch Commander decided to get rid of it, but then the Pacific Watch Commander got involved. I just heard mention of a Culver City unit involved in this as well, which they're asking that Culver City unit to not do that, not be involved. But again, because of the Burbank-Glendale helicopter that was over the Pacific Palisades, it leads me to believe that this may have been something that potentially they were investigating, and when they got eyes on him, perhaps they tried to make a stop, and it didn't go the right way, and here we are. But again, I'm still trying to work all that out. Burbank, Glendale, both the watch commanders over there at each of the agencies had no idea why their helicopter would be over there, which is what leads me to believe that this may have been a surveillance mission.
And then I'm wondering why the gang division involved, maybe because of that as well.
Right, and it could be a situation where they're wanted in multiple cities, right? It could be Burbank, Glendale was conducting the surveillance, but LAPD also wants them. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah. Desmond, we want to go back up to you live at SkyCal. Do we know if this is just one person, if this is several people in the car? Any indication?
We have not had any indication of that yet, Chauncey, and the reason why our shot seems so far is because we are dealing with LAX's airspace. Usually we have to deal with it in the South LA area. This time we're on the other end of it here as we get by their final approach. We're shooting this one from quite a ways away. Once they get south of the 105 freeway, we should be able to get a better shot for you here. So just have to keep our distance a little bit right here as we get through LAX. But the suspect seems pretty committed to the southbound 405. But you asked how many people are inside the car. It's not clear at this point. Just speaking from experience, it seems like a lot of times when we have these robbery suspects or home invasion or burglary, a lot of times it's more than one person in the car. So that's going to be, another potential factor that they have to weigh on top of them having reason to believe that the suspect has a handgun. That's another thing that's going to be pretty difficult here for LAPD. And now as we will be rejoining the pursuit here shortly. You can see the flashing lights there from the LAPD. They are definitely committed to be back in this one here. We'll be down at the junction of the 405 and the 105 shortly.
And as we were talking about, this was an on again and off again pursuit. And we do believe that because of the fact that law enforcement agencies have discovered that these suspects or a suspect, we don't know how many people are inside this car we were just talking about, but they do believe that they are armed or this person is armed. So of course they want to make sure that they get this person because they are certainly posing a danger to the public as well as law enforcement officials. But you know, I mean, with this speed, very hard to keep up, obviously. As Desmond was talking about, he's doing the best that he can with the airspace, the LAX's airspace. So we have some issues with that right now, but we will be joining a little closer just as soon as we get south of the 105 freeway. But as you can see, Chauncey, that ground unit right behind him.
Yeah, and this is the first time we've seen a ground unit this close to the suspect. And when we talk about a brazen crime like a home invasion and suspects being here in this car and possibly armed, Mike, we talked about this a few weeks ago. The strategy is a little different, especially even when it comes to the spike strips, because you don't want to lay the spike strips down.
A while. So this is some suspects that they had an eye on in connection to a burglary, and they are also armed and dangerous. So they do believe that there is a weapon in that vehicle. It's unclear how many people may be in the car or how many of them may be armed, but we know that there's at least one weapon that officers are concerned about. So because of that, we may not see things like a pit maneuver. Spike strips are still a possibility, of course, but at these speeds, that's going to be a tough sell. Okay, 405 South at Manhattan Beach, or in Manhattan Beach at Rosecrans Boulevard. So this is going to take us towards the South Bay curve. Those are LAPD Pacific officers. He's getting off the freeway here, so this is Rosecrans Avenue. Last minute decision there to exit. So this is going to take him into Hawthorne. Okay, going to be making that southbound turn, passing by the Porsche dealership. Wrong side of the road here for just a moment to get past some traffic. So yeah, we're at the South Bay curve. You know, if you know this area, you know there's a bunch of car lots here. I'm wondering if he knows this area well or if he's going to accidentally drive himself into a dead end. He had actually driven himself into a dead end right before we got overhead and was able to drive out of it. Okay. So Marine and Redondo Beach, this will be his chance to get out. So Hawthorne Boulevard. Again, this is right at the South Bay curve. Going westbound now, under the freeway. There he is. Marine and Inglewood. Okay, a little bit of traffic here as he makes that turn onto Inglewood from Marine. Once again, if you're just joining us, this is a chase that started with LAPD's West LA division. And they believe that these are burglary suspects, unknown exactly how many, but they also believe that they're armed and dangerous and in possession of at least one gun. Under the 405 freeway there, out of our view for just a moment. There he is. Okay, so officers are saying that he crashed in a white car when he was under the freeway, but is continuing. It seems like the collision wasn't that intense because the vehicle still looks perfectly drivable. I'm not even seeing any damage to the car, to be frank. Just barely missed a pedestrian there. Manhattan Beach at Gibson now in Redondo Beach. Okay, approaching Redondo Beach. Okay, a little bit of traffic. Let's see. Making that southbound turn. So this looks like a mostly residential area. I'm seeing a lot of homes on either side of the street. Still a fast-moving pursuit, about 60 miles an hour plus here on surface streets. Okay, going to be making another turn here. Vale Street. Robinson, there we go, Robinson at Maclay, that's the correct streets. Redondo Beach. Redondo Beach, of course, does have its own police department, so they could get involved if they were asked to, and if they would want to. But he'd pretty much have to stay in the city for a while for that to happen. Coming up to Inglewood cross traffic. Just missed that. There's a police unit right in front of him. Okay, so he's right under us here for just a moment. Jim is bringing the helicopter around. James Pollard here at the controls of News Chopper 4, always doing a great job to keep us over the chase. Inglewood Avenue now. And thank you, since I have a moment, I'll just thank some of our viewers who are reaching out to us on X. We, of course, thank you for your
The desk was telling us how the registered owner of this car, the car is registered out of Torrance. So we are definitely in the South Bay right now. Inglewood just as adjacent to Torrance. So it's unclear if they're actually headed home right now or maybe just in the vicinity to be familiar with the area. As we were talking about when we first got over this chase, the person was going into a cul-de-sac and clearly did not have a plan of where they were going. But now perhaps they do, as they probably know this area well, if this is in fact where they live. We have this information from their license plate that they are registered to this area, so in Torrance. So we'll see if that's the case, but oftentimes that is what we see during pursuits. They actually go home or go to the neighborhood.
Yeah, it seems like he's pulling into a neighborhood right now.
Yeah.
Desmond, is this a neighborhood on a side street that he's pulled into, the suspects?
Well, you know, I thought I heard when they said that the address came back to Artesia Boulevard. We're just north of that right now. And then, you know, we're on Artesia, and then we get into a neighborhood here. Makes me think that they're looking for a place to get out and run.
Right.
You know, somewhere where they think they can evade authorities, but now back out onto Artesia. Now the wrong way on Artesia Boulevard here. You saw that the unit there that was trying to kind of block them in, but they just kind of do-si-doed their way around that. Now blasting here along Artesia Boulevard. So this will continue for a while into Gardena, eastbound here on Artesia, and this will turn into the 91 freeway, of course.
Okay, looks like we lost Desmond Shaw and Skycap for just a minute.
Now on this surface street.
It's back.
Okay, we're back now, Desmond.
Desmond, could you repeat what you said? The shot kind of skipped out just for a few seconds.
Yeah, we had to do kind of a crazy turn there as we're going right through a red light, barely even slowing down. So we're on Artesia Boulevard. This will take us through the Gardena area, and then if they stay on Artesia long enough, that'll turn into the 91 freeway, the Artesia freeway. So we'll see what the deal is here. But again, their address, I thought they said that they returned to somewhere on Artesia Boulevard. So we could be very near where the suspect lives, on the wrong side of the road. Second time today that we've seen pursuits involving the wrong side of the road, and up to 50, 60, even 70 miles an hour. So, you know, we've been trying to get a look when we've had a chance near this car to see if we could see anyone else inside. Of course, we've got the typical pursuit tent, so we can't really see through the passenger side window to see if there's anyone else in this vehicle right now. But we are flying along almost 80 miles an hour now, eastbound on Artesia Boulevard.
If you're just joining us here on KCAL News at 8, this is breaking news, a pursuit of a burglary suspect or suspects. Unclear how many people are inside this car. Let's go over to Mike Rogers at the desk with this update. Mike?
Sorry, yeah, hi guys. So I just talked to LAPD and I've got some information on where this was. So this was a fresh home invasion. It did happen tonight. It was nothing that LAPD was surveilling. Who knows if the Glendale Burbank thing was just a coincidence, or who knows? Or maybe they surveilled them over there. We're still trying to sort that out.
Okay.
But Charmel Lane up in the Pacific Palisades, right off kind of Lockman Lane, it's the 16,000 block of Charmel Lane. There was a home invasion reported tonight at 7:36 p.m. Now, the difference between a burglary and a home invasion is a home invasion, somebody has to be home at the time of it. So that's what it sounds like happened here, is there was somebody home. That's what elevated it to the level of a home invasion. And that's likely where they got the information about this person having a handgun, is probably from the victims of the home invasion. Now, the good news is LAPD says they have no, in their system, system, they don't see any indications of an ambulance being requested, which would generally mean nobody was hurt, which is good. Unclear if anything was taken, obviously, because they haven't caught up with the suspects yet. But there are still a bunch of officers at that home on Charmel Lane now taking this home invasion report as they chase the suspects. So, you know, LAPD could have been in the area and they could have gotten lucky when this all happened, or who knows how it all came together. But 7:36 tonight is when they responded to it.
All right, thanks for that info there, which leads us to why police were all sort of hands on deck, if you will, 3 different choppers in the air, and then also LAPD at one point saying, hey, this guy may have a gun, let's scale back, let's not go into tracking mode. But now we're going to want to go back up to Desmond Shaw to see what's happening from your vantage point. It seems like he's slowing down a little bit and going here on these side streets.
Well, we're back on Artesia, but that was really scary right there. We were just in a little residential area, 65 miles an hour right there. Oh, what's going on here? This could be it. That's interesting.
So he's got a clicker
here.
Or does someone else?
Or someone does.
Right.
Into the, there was someone who just walked right by. And look at this. Now the door is open. At least the danger to the public with the crazy driving is done. But underneath the awning, into an apartment complex here. So, okay.
And Desmond, it seems like it's just one person, right?
Look at that. I think we are right here at the suspect's house. We heard that the suspect's house was on Artesia Boulevard, and we on our Artesia. So
and in the city of Torrance, right, Desmond?
Right now.
In the city of Torrance, correct?
Well, yes. Yep. My map tracker is saying that we are in Torrance right now, right on the northern edge, I believe. And look at this, right into this unit right here.
Yeah.
So they are now going to be holed up. And we only saw one person get out of that vehicle.
Yeah, that sounds what to say.
So now you see authorities coming in, and they're going to run up here to the unit and knock nicely and see if he'll come out.
Yeah, so now this is, I was just going to say, this is going to be a whole thing now, because he's going to go in there, he's armed. They're not going to go in there if they can't see him. So if he doesn't come out, this is going to turn into a SWAT situation, almost undoubtedly, because I can't imagine those patrol officers are going to go bang down that door for a home invasion suspect that is armed, who they can't see. We'll see how they handle it, but I would imagine that this is going to turn into a situation where if he doesn't come out willingly, it's going to be a long night.
Mike, we know this is just one guy that's jumped out of this car and took off running. We didn't see any other suspects. Any information from police when you got the information about the original home invasion that took place there on Charmel Lane? Did police say it was just one person, or were there several suspects?
Well, so they have it's called a CAD, a computer-aided dispatch system, and when things are happening like this, sometimes all those little details don't get put in right away. Yeah. But just really quick, Des, when you look at the officers that are on there on the ground, you got a lot of plainclothes officers down there, which, kind of leads me a little bit back to our original theory that maybe there was, other things that these guys are wanted for and they had been being watched, but maybe they caught them in the act or something like that. But you've got a lot of plainclothes guys down there as well, which is also interesting to me. So they've, here's where he pulled out of the car, after opening the gate there, and then gets in. Who knows what criminals are thinking, but you go to your house and the cops are right behind you. Like, it's not gonna, they clearly know who this guy is, and now they're right at his door. And yeah, like Des said, they're gonna knock nicely and tell him to come out. And when he doesn't, it's gonna turn into a pretty long night, I bet.
Yeah.
I mean, the good news in all of this tonight, as far as we know, Mike was painting us a better picture, a clearer picture, if you will, of what happened or transpired in Pacific Palisades when this home invasion occurred. This is on Charmel Lane in Pacific Palisades, 7:36 p.m. There was a reported home invasion, meaning that the residents were home at the time when this alleged thief or burglar, would-be burglar, came through and perhaps stole something. We don't know if they got away with anything, but we do believe that they are armed. And after they took off on Pacific Coast Highway, eastbound on the 10 freeway and southbound on the 405, and then in the Palms area, the pursuit part of it was called off by the LAPD, and then another division, as we understand, took over. And that's when we saw them bringing out that's where we saw various agencies, or I'm sorry, I should say various units following this, and we went down various areas of Southern California, but also in the South Bay area specifically, because of the fact that we did get some information that this person, the registered car that police were chasing, was registered out of the city of Torrance and to this address, we believe off Artesia Boulevard. So we do believe, we're not 100% sure on this, no confirmation yet, but we do believe that the pursuit suspect, we only saw one person get out of this car, is the person who is now inside this unit that we are focusing SkyCal on right now.
And Desmond, it seemed like that suspect just jumped out of that car, knew exactly where he was going, and took a beeline to this unit that you have spotlighted here.
Yeah, so here's one thing I did want to mention, Chauncey, is that there was maybe 2 seconds, 3 seconds where we were on the other side of this apartment complex, and as we were coming around, we saw the suspect go underneath the awning. My pilot, Mike, is pretty confident that he went inside this door, the one that you see the LAPD plainclothes officers focusing on, but you see that this is, a covered walkway. And I noticed a lot of LAPD officers running around the entire complex. I can't say with 100% certainty that they went inside that door. They could have run down this way and then gone into another unit, or into the parking garage or something. There is a pretty high level of certainty, but not 100%, that they went upstairs. We watched them walk up onto this patio right here, and we believe this door right here with the light on. And you see LAPD out here as well. They have the whole building surrounded, and I don't believe that the suspect would be able to jump out a window into a parking garage from the second story. I'm not even sure that there's windows on that side. So, pretty high level of certainty, not 100%, but they have the entire building surrounded regardless.
And Desmond, when that suspect pulled in and the gate opened, I'm guessing that gate had to be prompted open with some kind of clicker, or when you pulled up to it, but it was a few seconds that went by for that gate to open up wide enough so the suspect could get his car through there. This is as we played that replay.
Yeah, definitely. And, LAPD, they weren't going to run up and try to stop this person from getting inside if they believed that they had a gun. So they kind of just had to let all of that unfold. So, it was unfortunate for them. But, again, we had heard that this was where the vehicle was registered to, and we, had a sinking suspicion that they were driving back to their neighborhood, and they did indeed come right back to where they live. So now, a big fiasco for everyone else who's just trying to unwind on a Friday night here in this apartment complex, now with a suspect refusing to surrender.
Yeah, and when you have someone who's armed inside your building too, that's definitely going to create a different danger level. So obviously, officers are going to be going to neighbors as well, just to make sure the entire building is safe and sound, obviously. But as Mike at Rogers at the desk was talking about, this is probably going to turn into a SWAT situation if they're not coming up out with their hands up and surrendering.
Right, and I don't know if the control room is able to take my computer at all. I just wanted to point one thing out when Des was talking about this person going inside of their home. It did look like they were fumbling with keys.
Exactly, looking down and perhaps getting out the right
at
key.
First I thought it was a cell phone, but then when I played it back, to me it definitely looks like some keys that he's like fumbling out of his pocket. Look, here we go right here.
Right.
I'm going to show it to you. He's going to walk up the stairs here. He's going to walk up the stairs right here, and you see him right in there kind of fumbling with those keys. And looking for something. Forgive me, my computer does not want to play along with me. But looking for something right there where he was, looked like he was trying to take something out of his pocket to be able to, continue to get inside and evade police. There it is again, slowed down, and you can see him kind of moving around right there with it.
Right before he,
gets to the door.
Exactly.
So he's probably in there, and it probably is going to be a long night for a lot of people.
All right, we're going to keep an eye on the situation and keep SkyCal and Desmond Shaw overhead and bring you the very latest throughout the night here on KCal.
Mike and Desmond, thank you so much for your coverage. Our other top story here tonight, that powerful storm headed...
The NBC4 News at 11 o'clock. But there's actually another pursuit that is kicking off right now as well. So we're going to pull off to go to that chase. And then if that one ends, we can come back to this one. Once again, from News Chopper 4, I'm Eliana Marino, alongside my pilot James Pollard. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll head to that next chase.